All right, one thing I want you to be cautious of is, I like to show you some things that can get screwed up. So we saw some error messages with the else. Another thing you have to be real careful of is, especially when you're using braces, this is true, but even if you're not, you don't want to put a semicolon at the end of that line of code. Now, I know we're so used to always putting a semicolon at the end of a line of code that we get a little anxious sometimes. We just want to put it there. Well, right now, I'm going to get a compile error. It says else without if. But what's really weird here is if I take out those else's and I hit compile, I actually won't have a compile error. Okay? It says class compiled, no syntax errors. That's interesting. So I just said don't put a semicolon there, but it seems to be fine with it. So what exactly is the problem? Now let's think about this right now. If I ran this program as it is right now since it compiled, x is 84. The if is asking, is x greater than or equal to 95, which it's not. So if I run this program, I don't want it to print you got an A+, because the student didn't, right? They got an 84. They shouldn't get an A+, okay? So let's run it. Whoa. My program just determined that kid got an A+, and it said good job. Now that might sound cool to you as a student, right? Because now you get 84 and it's an A+, but that's not good. Our program didn't work as executed. Well, what happened? Well, the semicolon's obviously the culprit, right? If I take that semicolon out and I run my program again, it's going to do what I want it to do, which is basically nothing, right? Because if the if fails, then nothing should happen, because neither of those prints should occur. All right, so why does the semicolon screw that up and cause it to print? Well, here's why. Remember what I was saying about if statements. By default, if statements search for the first semicolon following them, and then they link to that statement. So what this if statement was doing was it was asking a question, and if that question was true, it looked to do this, which is nothing. And if it was false, it looked to skip this, what I have highlighted, which is nothing. So that's what happened. When that was false, it skipped nothing. And then as a result, this whole brace structure I have down here, the braces don't even mean anything at that point, and they're not linked to, they're not linked to the if at all. They're two separate blocks of code. So the if statement was just kind of up here doing absolutely nothing, and then no matter what, I was going to print this. I could have made x 84. I could have made it 800 or 994. It wouldn't matter. It doesn't matter what x value I give it here. It's going to print you got an A+, good job. Because basically what I did was I voided the if with that semicolon. So be very careful. It's very rare that you would want to put a semicolon at the end of an if, unless you had, something where you're just trying to like skip a case. I can think of some times that you might, but for the most part, we're never going to want to do that. Okay?